Sige po.
The reason why I'm asking this, because yung 13.65% hindi natutupad because you are not even examining the financials of Meralco. Parang ayaw po nilang maniwala. Mr. Chair, ako po, religiously po na kinocompute ko po, alam ko yun eh. Alam ko po 3%, yung nagsasabi po ng 10%, nagsisinungaling yun kasi hindi niya alam yung ancillary services.
And yet we have here drafts of your decision. And I saw it, there are already signatures. And you publish that? My goodness, it is my first time as a practicing lawyer for 45 years. We have to find out on this issue of national security, which is brought about during the last hearing and then now. That the Chinese are there and therefore there is this is a question of national security because the Chinese interferes with the NGCP.
May I know what happened to that hearing?
Well,
I was about to ask that
trying to
question.
give something kung ayaw niyong marinig ng...
Yes, go ahead,
I will not
please.
speak.
Please. Ano yun?
Hindi, nag-hearing kasi noon, chaired by... That was the last hearing that we had. That was...
Ano sabi ni... Anong sinabi?
Sinabi niya na...
Point of order,
everyday-
Mr. Chairman. Ayun, Melvin.
Attorney Matibag, pwede ba tapusin na ho
Di ba po,
natin?
Mr. Chair, we are here
Yes.
to find the truth.
Yes, correct.
I'm
Go
here
ahead.
as a citizen also.
Okay. Proceed. Please proceed.
I'm not for China, I'm for Philippines.
Okay, go ahead.
Witch
Okay.
hunting here.
So what was
I
said?
don't want to witch hunt
So
here.
for
We are
the...
not with
One
something.
specific company.
I'm stating a fact. You reviewed the Senate
The
last
facts
week.
are very clear. I tell you,
Order.
whatever is stated in the Senate is not here. It's what is stated here.
He
Yes.
was under oath when he made that statement.
Correct.
We are now in Congress, in the House of Representatives.
Okay,
Yes.
Mr. Chair, if you
Yes.
don't want to hear me,
Again,
I will keep quiet.
Is the high cost of electricity attributable alone to NGCP?
Not alone, Mr. Chair.
Not alone. Thank you, because there are a lot of things and factors that must be considered. Is it correct to assume that there was an ERC resolution some time ago where you set the return on equity for distribution at 13.65%?
Mr. Chair, I do not recall that particular, because there's a different percentage governing the distribution utilities po.
Suppose I show to you that particular resolution before this day ends, na 13.65%. What will be the penalty that you should owe this committee? Meron po eh. Huwag po nyo sabihin hindi. You set, nasa resolution po ninyo eh. 13.65%.
I'm trying to recall, Mr. Chair, because if you can share the year,
Namaya
then
po
maybe
kasi
we can
kukunin ko
trace
po dun sa aking notebook eh, nandun
Apa.
eh. But I
Kasi
assure
po-
you there is one.
Sige po.
The reason why I'm asking this, because yung 13.65% hindi natutupad because you are not even examining the financials of Meralco. Pag tinignan po nyo, yung return on equity is already more than 23%. Yun po yung pinagmumulan ng taas ng kuryente ngayon. Because we might be barking on a wrong tree. My friend Melvin Matibag, when you made this an statement earlier, what office did you represent?
I said I'm the former president. I'm now one of the consumers. And
No,
I'm
but you
representing the Filipino.
made a statement earlier.
I was asked by the committee to make a statement regarding my experience as the previous president of the National Transmission Corporation.
So you were with Transco at the time.
2017 until 2022.
Yes, that's
In
why
fact,
you were able.
just to be honest, most of the documents being plus here
Kaya nga,
was
the reason why you
provided
were
by the
able
chair.
to make a statement because you were with Transco at the time.
That's correct,
Yes.
Mr. Chair.
And you said that you have not had the opportunity of inspecting the facilities NGCP. Did I hear you right?
That's correct. And it's even supported by a letter coming from NGC.
Never, not once.
When I was new, they invited me to view all the screens, but not the facilities. And in fact, as I was saying, there is a letter dated
Up
August
to what
28,
extent were you allowed to visit?
Only in the monitor room.
The what?
The monitor room, the monitoring room, then they said how the electricity flow. I've never seen the equipment, the narrating and everything, just the screens.
NGCP, is that correct?
Mr. Chair, with all due respect to Mr. Matibag, he was allowed on the floor, the system operations floor in Quezon City, a place usually reserved only for dispatchers. Our guests are usually confined to a conference room beside it, but because Mr. Matibag and then Secretary Kusi were, of course, had a spot visit, we did allow them to come in without notice.
That's exactly what I'm saying with the monitors. Di ba yun? Sa Quezon City?
Mr. Matibag, that was for the system
Yeah, that's what I'm
operations,
saying,
not
with the
just the
monitors.
monitor, sir. That's the control center. That's where everything happens. That's why that's a very high secure area that I myself cannot enter without going through the security protocols, even though I am an employee of NGCP.
Okay, Mr. Chair, may I continue? I think that was settled. Kanina po, sinabi ko na parang pinagtitripan natin ng NGCP sapagkat ang pinagmumulan po ng cost natin sa ating electric bill, kung pag-uusapan ng NGCP po, transmission, is only 3%. Parang ayaw po nilang maniwala. Mr. Chair, ako po, religiously po na kinocompute ko po, alam ko yun eh. Alam ko po 3%, yung nagsasabi po ng 10%, nagsisinungaling yun kasi hindi niya alam yung ancillary services. Alam ko po yun eh. 3% lang talaga. Madam ARC, may I continue with you, please? When you failed to provide regulatory reset for 2 regulatory periods, did it affect the operational cost of NGCP?
Mr. Chair. I don't think so, Mr. Chair, because they were still able to declare dividends during those periods.
That does not answer my question. They might have declared dividends, but I'm talking about operational cost. They might have absorbed the costs. Do you have an idea as to how much they lose? Or they lost?
Mr. Chair, they would have filed losses, but since they had unrestricted retained earnings, and from those unrestricted retained earnings were able to declare dividends, I would understand that they were able to cover their costs during that period where there was no reset.
So that is the kind of reasoning that you will give this committee. Kaya pala, kahit na mandatorily, kailangan kang gumawa ng regulatory reset. You are all taking your sweet time. Sapagkat alam ninyo, walang nawawala sa kanila. Is that your presumption, Madam?
With all due respect, Mr. Chair, I beg to differ. This
So
commission
you
has...
believe there is no cost on the part of NGCP?
No, there is cost, Mr.
That's
Chair,
why
of
I'm
course.
asking you, do you have an idea as to how much
They filed-
NGCP might have lost?
No,
Yun
they
lang
did
naman
not
eh.
file for losses, Mr. Chair. They filed for...
I'm not asking you, ma'am, if they filed for losses.
I
I'm
thought that
asking
was
you
the
if you have an
question, Mr.
idea.
Chair.
If you have an idea, please say so. Kung wala, okay lang.
Wala po, kasi po ang final po nila ay increase in authorized revenue. or
NGCP, do you
allowable
agree?
Mr. Chair, with all due respect to Attorney Mona, what we filed for was correct, but that is because it represents an under-recovery on the part of NGCP.
How much was the amount of under recovery?
For, I think, our 4th regulatory period, we applied for an under-recovery of 200 billion pesos.
200 billion pesos.
Yes, sir, because as you already mentioned, the last regulatory period approved by the ERC was conducted in, regulatory approval was conducted in 2009 for the period ending 2015. So beginning 2016 up to this date, the revenue scheme that we have been working on is interim in nature and no longer reflects the required capital expenditure needed for the continued development of the transmission system.
What was your capex in 2014?
Around 48 billion.
You might want to review your records. I'm asking 2014, madam.
Let me go back, Mr. Chair, to my records.
Huwag kang ninenervyos, ma'am. Wala namang nagko-contempt dito eh. Wala na si Congressman Paduano. Si Dan Fernandez hindi mahilig sa contempt yan.
May I be given a
O sige,
moment?
balikan na kita, ma'am,
Yes, sir.
mamaya. Sa IMAP po, sir, pwedeng tanungin ko kayo.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, Your Honor, please.
Sa EPIRA po, sino talaga yung independent market operator?
IMO po, after the transition.
Hindi, PMC po eh, di ba?
Hindi po, it's IMO na after the transition. Nagsimula po kasi yun, nung magkaroon ng AGMO, PMC po.
ADMO nga po yun, pero
Opo.
PMC dati yun.
Opo, then nag-transition po to the IMO, which is now IMO.
And the transition happened
2018 po.
2018. Afterwards, you registered IMAP in the Securities and Exchange Commission.
Ay, hindi po. We are a non-profit, non-stock corporation.
So ano po ang IMAP?
It's a non-stock, non-profit corporation, sir.
Ano nga po siya?
It's a corporate entity.
Wala po, hindi po ba na-transfer sa inyo yung assets ng PEMCO, ng PMC?
The transfer po yung assets ng market operations.
Yun nga po, kung hindi kayo legal entity, na-transfer ang assets po, medyo mahirap po yan tayo.
Legal entity,
Kasi
sir?
kayo po kasi kumukolekta ngayon ng market fees, tama?
Yes, sir. Opo. Under the
Karaniwan
IPIRA.
po, o noon, ang kumukolekta lang PMC. Ngayon, pati kayo kumukolekta na, kaya doble-doble na po ang binabayaran po ng mga consumers.
Hindi po. Because the fees that were used to be collected by PEMC is now being collected by AMOP. So hindi po na doble, na transfer lang po.
Hindi po ganun ang nasa record, sir.
Ay, hindi po yan po ang, yung po ang totoo po.
Hindi po, babalik naman po kayo rito. Then I will confront you with all these, the records.
Yes, sir. Opo.
Kailangan lang po, nagkakaintindihan tayo.
Yes, sir. Opo.
Ang sabi po ninyo, kaya kayo nandyan because kayo ang, ewan ko, non-profit. Pero, di ba ang inyo pong, katungkulan niya yung WSM?
Market operator po ng WSM. Opo.
Kayo po nga sa WSM. Bakit po nilagay ang WSM ng EPIRA? Ano po ang objective?
Because before the IPIRA, o before the WSM, di po ba lahat ng pagmimili ng
O nga po,
kuryente?
ba't po tayo nagkaroon ng WSM?
Sa akin pong pagkakaunawa, yung kaya po tayo nagkaroon ng WSM to allow flexibility in contracting para po may source ng kuryente kung walang kontrata and para maging balancing market po siya kung sakaling...
Makakatulong po sa pagpapababa ng ating elektrisidad.
Opo.
Pag binasa nyo po yung konteksto ng EPIRA.
Opo, sir.
Pero hindi po ganun na nangyayari. Meron po kayong pinakamataas, yung cap po ninyo is 32 pesos per kilowatt hour. Umaabot po tayo doon, tama o hindi?
Meron lang po mga intervals na gano'n, pero on the average po, hindi po tayo nagte-32
Oo nga, pero
pesos.
umabot po tayo doon. Ang ibig ko sabihin, dapat hindi po tayo maabot ng gano'n sapagkat mas mataas pa po kayo ng doble sa Meralco. Hindi po yun ang rational ng... Kasi po ang pinag-uusapan natin ngayon, kung paano natin ipabababa ang presyo ng kuryente, titingnan po natin lahat.
Opo, sir. Yung 32 pesos po is the offer cap allowed by ERC in the meantime.
Pero,
Present.
ibig sabihin, hindi po dapat umabot doon. Kaya nga nandyan po kayo eh.
Yes, sir. Hindi naman
Sino
po...
po yung nag-o-audit ng WSM?
ERC po.
Tama po. Anong pangalan po ng auditor?
Iba-iba po yan eh. So yung pinakahuli po, Reyes Takandong po yung auditor po
Hindi
na.
po, ang sinasabi ko, Mr. Representative from IMAP, di po ba magbebenta yung generation company? Tapos ililista nyo. Yung po, sino yung nag-o-audit nun? Paano nyo may babato ng ganitong presyo? Yung mga ganon.
Meron
Hindi po ba sinusunod nyo ay algorithm lang?
Meron po tayong system, opo.
Yun po, the system of algorithm.
You may say that.
Yun po ang problema natin kung sinong nag-o-audit ng algorithm, Madam ERC. Dapat po tingnan ninyo ito sapagkat dito po sumisirit ang presyo ng electricity. Parang NGCP na lang po kasi tinitingnan natin. Nakakahalata na po kami. Transco, Madam, sabi po nyo kanina, hindi po kayo nakakapag-visit sa facilities ng NGCP na para bang itinatago sa inyo. Kayo naman ang may-ari. Hindi man lang kayo pinapayagang makarating doon. Sinabi po nyo kanina, di ba?
Mr. Chair, I believe I did not say that.
Ikaw naman yata kaibigan ang nagsabi. Ikaw naman.
Yes. In fact, there's a letter from NGCP. And let me read from the letter. NGC replied on our request to do audit and visit. They replied August 28. We reiterate our opposition to the performance asset and audit for lack of legal basis. Therefore, we regret to inform your office that NGCP cannot accede to the planned pilot audit. And let me answer, in relation to that, yung ginawa po namin at Attorney Mutchan na pumunta ron, you very well know that is only ceremonial. Dinala kami ron ng secretary para mag-picture taking. Yun lang po yun.
Thank you very much, Attorney. Was that, please proceed. You still have 1 minute, Honorable Marcoleta.
Bigyan mo
By 1
naman ako
minute.
ng kahit 3 minutes lang, sir.
Opo.
Meron pong concession agreement, Mr. Chair, na nandun po, annually, pwede pong mag-inspection po kayo ng books and the facilities sa NGCP. Did you not see that, Madam?
We know of that provision, Mr. Chair.
You know that provision, but you did not take advantage of that provision. Nandun po yun eh. Hindi po pwede, hindi sila pumayag.
Mr. Chair, as mentioned earlier po, we have the TR flat with PISAM, and part of the TR flat, or that's the transmission regulatory, yung TR FLA stand for several areas. So, we may portion po sa TR flat that on the books and records of NGCP na we can, with proper notice, we can get access to the books and records to verify or visit the performance by NGCP of its mandates under the concession agreement. I'm just paraphrasing, pero that's how I'm recalling it now. So, we take advantage of the inspection of books and records. Kaya lang po along the way, merong areas na hindi kami nagkakasundo. Sa scope, may hindi lang po napapagkasundoan. And then also for certain aspects, meron din pong, so generally, meron pong navivisit, merong hindi. That's that's about it po. I cannot give more details kasi nga po this is part also of the issue between Transco and GCP.
Mr. Chair, may I be allowed to say something?
Nung ang Transco po ang humahawak pa ng ating transmission, can you honestly say that transmission cost is cheaper?
Mr. Chair, I think they are not directly comparable in that sense kasi po ngayon ang denominator po sa transmission cost is the demand
Madam,
for energy. So kung
This committee will be the one to judge whether it is comparable or not.
in terms of
You just have to answer my
numerical
question.
number, I believe nasa mga yung 45 centavos ngayon before was maybe at 60 centavos if I'm not
Di
mistaken.
mas mataas kayo, di ba, ma'am? Okay. During your time, can you safely say that there are fewer brownouts? as compared today when NGCP is the one handling the transmission?
I
Mas
cannot
marami
recall
po kayong brownout, ma'am. Ako na sasagot.
wala pong ano ng records.
ERC, ma'am. If we will have more connections that will become, or if we will have more communities that will become contestable markets, we will have the chance of lower electricity. Correct?
Tama po, Mr. Chair.
Ibig sabihin natin, palalaganapin natin yung retail competition and open access para
Tama.
bumaba po. Nandun po.
Apo.
If aggregations is maximized in communities, electricity will be further reduced.
Tama
Yes,
po,
ma'am.
Mr. Chair.
If we remove the 12% VAT in electricity, we can lower electricity further. Tama, ma'am.
Immediately, Mr.
Immediately and significantly. If we remove the excise tax in fuel, which feed the generation system, especially the backload, will certainly lower our electricity, madam. Tama. DOE. Yes, ma'am. Madam DOE, considering ang ating pong mga fuel ngayon are more or less imported, yung pong nagme-maintain ng ating baseload, coal and petroleum, hindi natin mapapababa ang kuryente. LNG is also imported. Tama po?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Okay.
Last 1 minute of your 3-minute extension. Because we gave you the 3 minutes because you're the senior citizen.
Madam DOE representative, if we remove the cross-ownership provision in the EPIRA, we can rationalize better the price of electricity eventually. Kasi mapipilitan silang bumili dun sa hindi nila kamag-anak o hindi nila kaibigan. Tama, ma'am? Nakakatulong.
The cross-ownership prohibition.
Where the distributor kasi, part owner siya nung generation, kaya napipilitan doon sa bibili kahit mahal yun eh. Pero kung walang cross-ownership, at palalaganapin natin yung competitive selection process as if it is open and public, bababa ang kuryente, ma'am. I assume. Oh, yes daw, Mr. Chair. Philippine Competition Commission.
Last question.
Yes, yes, sir. Kasi po, ma'am, baka akala nyo hindi kayo kasali rito eh. Is NGCP violating any anti-competition or market behavior or whatever?
Mr. Chair po, with regards to having a single franchise owner, we note naman po that that is not uncommon in the energy transmission. But for markets like this where you have a single franchise owner, strict compliance po with regulation is key for that.
Parang hindi mo sinagot, ma'am eh.
Thank you.
Baka gusto mong, walang violation, di ba?
Mr. Chair, I'm not privy to any violations.
Okay.
B.
Mr. Chair.
You're the OIC for liaison.
Legislative liaison.
That's your position?
Yes po.
Asan yung boss mo?
Due to recent personnel movements po, ako po talaga yung for...
In the next hearing, we will call for your boss on this particular issue. Thank you very much, Honorable Marcoleta. Okay. The chair now will recognize the Honorable Rufus Rodriguez. Silence is requested.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and good afternoon to our distinguished colleagues, and likewise to our valued resource persons. I have just 4 points after hearing all the discussions. 2 would pertain to the Constitution. 1 is the quasi-judicial process of the ERC, and 3rd and 4th about some speculations. Let me start with the lower controversy. It has been, reported by the graphs and also from the reports from IMOP and also from Transco that because of the delay of the projects, our consumers are deprived of a lower cost of electricity. That has been pervasive in this discussion. That is speculative, Mr. Chairman, because there were delays, but there were reasons for the delays. And in fact, the DOE with our colleague has stated that indeed we cannot just directly attribute all the delays to NGCP because there are, like as I've stated in the previous hearing, the Mindanao, Visayas interconnection, problems of a golf course, TRO in the Supreme Court, problems of the right of way in Lanao. So therefore, it's speculative that if the projects were already implemented, then it will result to a lower consumer payment of electricity. So that's the first one. The second one is about the ERC. Have you already issued a decision promulgated on the regulatory reset of NGCP?
Not yet, Mr. Chair.
Not yet. And yet we have here drafts of your decision. And I saw it, there are already signatures. And you publish that? My goodness, it is my first time as a practicing lawyer for 45 years that a quasi-judicial body will be publishing a decision, a draft decision, because precisely you are the ultimate decision maker and you are the regulatory agency. I cannot see any judge publishing what will be his decision and getting comments. Is it not that that the procedure that should not be adopted? You collegially decide and then come out. After all, there are parties. The applicant is NGCP. There are intervenors. So maybe know your answer.
Mr. Chair.
Yeah.
Those were, the publication were part of the rules, and in fact, those rules were also subjected to public comments, and there were no oppositions to those steps. And Mr. Chair, just to clarify, this is not unique to NGCP. This is part of the the rule-making process for regulated entities.
I think you have to revisit your rules. Look at it now. It's being used. And practically, you'll be influenced when people will be knowing what you're going to decide on and then be able to influence you. Is that correct?
Yes, Mr. Chair. We are open to influence by the public because that is the part of the process, Mr. Chair.
But other influences will not be from the public but vested interests, Mr. Di Malanta. You see, there are some vested interests who are interested, in fact, in the NGCP franchise. So therefore, if you are a judicial body, you're just like a judicial body, and you should not be announcing everything first before your final decision, because after the final decision, there can be the motion for reconsideration. So that is my take as far as your rules of procedure are concerned. Next, Mr. Chairman. We go now. So first, we have already, in the last hearing, it was clearly established NGCP had paid all the taxes. It has paid all the taxes. BIR states so, ERC states so. Second, the NGCP has complied with for the franchise section on public ownership. They listed a company which has 30% ownership there, corporation already listed. So the second issue, clearly, the NGCP has rightly and fulfilled their obligations in the Section 8 and then Section 7 on taxes. Third, cross-ownership. Clearly, ERC Chairperson Mona said that the prohibition against cross-ownership had already been amended by the franchise of NGCP. Now I go to new issues. Now, the next issue is, already in the last hearing, the SEC has already come out with an opinion that chairmen who are foreigners, like in this case, a Chinese is a chairman, has no violation of the constitutional provision under Article 15 that it says there that executive and managerial positions are reserved to Filipinos. Clearly, the chairmanship is not a violation if you have a Chinese or any other foreign individual. Now, what's being brought here is that the chief technical officer, question to SEC, are technical officers executive or managerial positions violating the Constitution of the Republic of the Philippines?
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair. As to the duties of the Chief Technical Officer, it would largely depend on what is written in the bylaws of NGCP.
NGCP, did you not examine that and then you had a decision? And you have certified that there's no violation?
We have no certification that NGCP has not violated any constitutional provision. If I have to manifest that. What I have stated in the last hearing is based on an opinion by the SEC that was issued before, stating that chairman of the board may be a foreign national, but it has to be qualified that his duties will be limited to that of a presiding officer in board meetings.
That's correct. NGCP, okay. Oh, you have secured all the approvals of this chief technical officer. Can you tell us which agencies has approved and has now no objection to your appointment of a chief technical officer who is a Chinese?
Mr. Chairman, the chief technical, well, all our technical officers at that time had to go through a gamut of applications for work permits and visas, work visas. We first go to the DOE to get their endorsement, and they will endorse the application to the DOJ, and the DOJ will cascade that application to the
To get
BID.
that endorsement from DOE.
And then the BID, after yes.
Yes,
Well,
yes, for the record. The DOE endorsed your application, endorsed that position to be held by a Chinese, and then you can now go to the Department of Justice and the Bureau of Immigration, which I headed during the time of President Estrada.
Yes, Mr. Chairman. That's the procedure. And then they evaluate the functions that the technical personnel will be performing, and if they are indeed technical in nature, they will issue the permit for the technical personnel.
And were they issued permits from the Bureau of Immigration and the Department of Justice?
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
For nobody has questioned these decisions of the agencies that are really looking into whether a position holder violates the Constitution or not. There was now no adverse decision of all the agencies of the government.
Not that we recall, Mr. Chairman.
Was there, because you supervise corporations, was there a complaint of any person against the chief technical officer holding this position that it violates the law?
As of this moment, Mr. Chair, there is no filed complaint regarding that matter, Mr. Chair.
And so therefore, once again, I'm saying that there is no violation at all. And so, chairman can be a foreigner, chief technical officer can be a foreigner. Now, it's clear. Now, let's go to the most basic, the most important constitutional, what pervades the Constitution, and that is national security, Mr. Chairman. It is not mentioned in the Constitution, but in every section, every article of the Constitution, always national security. What is there is national territory, national development, and all of this. So then we go now to the issue of the Chinese with the NGCP. Okay. So now, you stated, Attorney Sagayo, that indeed you have a memorandum of agreement between you and NICA, correct? And NICA, Mr. Chairman, is the primary intelligence gathering and analysis of arm of the Philippine government, carrying out three functions: overt, covert, clandestine intelligence operations. So we have to find out on this issue of national security, which is brought about during the last hearing and then now, that the Chinese are there, and therefore there is this is a question of national security because the Chinese interferes with the NGCP, interferes in its operations, its decision making, and therefore if they are there, it therefore creates a problem on national security, and which all of us Filipinos will be against if there is any foreign power that will therefore make, decide on the fate of Filipinos. We will know now whether this particular, has the NICA found any violation of NGCP in relations to these Chinese being there as technical or as board directors?
Before you answer, your 5 minutes up, but we will give you an extension because you're also a senior citizen.
Yes, I invoke
Okay,
that
for
because
those-
otherwise
okay.
there will be no equal protection of the laws.
Okay.
If you are going to
Proceed.
give
We will extend.
Congressman Marcoleta and not me. Thank you for the
Okay,
3 minutes.
thank you.
Otherwise, you violate the Constitution.
Mr. Chairman, please.
Please, attorney.
No finding of any violation by
And-
NICA. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. And since when did you have this memorandum allowing NICA to really go into the operations, go into the your distribution system and the influence of the Chinese in the NGCP? When did you have that NICA agreement?
Mr. Chairman,
Please.
thank you, Mr. Chairman. Prior
Right.
to this administration, we had been allowing NICA, ISAF to inspect our facilities. During this administration of President Marcos, we entered into a memorandum of agreement with NICA. And also during this administration, we allowed them, Mr. Chairman, to hold office in NGCP. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
So you're saying
Proceed.
that NICA, Mr. Chairman, can I proceed? You're saying that the NICA is holding office right there in your premises.
That's what I said, Mr. Chairman.
Wow. And
Thank you.
also, you mentioned about the ISAP. Do you have also agreements with the armed forces of the Republic of the Philippines?
Mr. Chairman, with respect to the armed forces of the Philippines, we have agreements in the local level with respect to the protection of our facilities. And we also have an agreement with the armed forces of the Philippines with respect to reservists. We have reservists who are employees of NGCP who committed themselves to protect the transmission facilities. And Attorney Samboy here is a lieutenant colonel of the reserve forces of the armed forces of the Philippines. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
So in all the operations from the time you started in 2008 up to now, has there been any derogatory report and you have been asked by the NICA, the armed forces, and all the intelligence bodies here that you have to be, there are violations in terms of possibility. We're talking about possibilities. Possibility of interference by these Chinese who are always intruding illegally in our West Philippine Sea, and which the Chinese has lost all 8 points in the International Arbitral Tribunal in Den Haag. Was there any to alert you? Because the NICA is the primary intelligence gathering and analysis of our country. Was there anything from the time you operated up to now that NICA has called your attention to violations?
Mr. Chairman, There's none. We haven't received any notice from NICA, from ISAF, that we are violating security measures and laws. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
And my final question is to the President, President Anthony Almeida. You're under oath. Where is Anthony?
Mr. Almeida, please take your respective seat. I
Do
think
you-
he went to the restroom.
Yeah. Do you assure this august committee on committee on franchise, with our distinguished members here present and the valued resource persons, can you state you're under oath that there is no possibility of interference from the Chinese in our operation, especially in the supply of electricity in this country, which was also stated by the chairman, no less than Henry C. Sr., that there is no possibility at all, and everything is fake news, that the Chinese can interfere and can black out the entire country. Can you say that categorically, unequivocally?
Mr. Almeida, you're under oath.
Yes, Mrs. Chair. Yes, there is no possibility that, that as far as I'm concerned, as a Filipino citizen and as a reserve also of the armed forces, I categorically say that there's no possibility, Mr. Chair, that the Chinese can, yeah.
Thank you. And with that, Mr. Chairman, it is clear that the NGCP has not violated any constitutional provision, and even the principles underlying the Constitution. Number two, Mr. Chairman, it has clearly followed all the provisions of its franchise. Third, all that they have done has been approved by the ERC. The pass-on of the franchise tax and all the cross ownership and also the public offering. So, Mr. Chairman, I do not see how we can continue with this hearing when there are no violations. Mr. Chairman, that is my question.
Thank you.
Would you again want to go delve on that when clearly the constitutional issues, the franchise issues, the speculations, Mr. Chairman, I think we should already adjourn and let's go to face what are the important bills of our country, like my intelligence bills, my anti-espionage bills,
Thank you
because
very
that
much.
will increase the penalties of spies.
Thank you very much, the
Thank you.
Honorable Rufus Rodriguez.
Mr. Chair.
Like I said, this is an inquiry, and not because there is a franchise violation, because that is for the committee to make, Congressman Rufus, and not solely within your authority. Okay? That is a collective
Mr. Chair.
decision. So, hindi nyo kayang desisyonan ho kung may franchise violation. But again, we're looking at how to bring down the prices of electricity, and we will continue to do so until we're able to achieve that goal. Now,
Mr. Chair.
the USEC Janet Garin is
Sharon, sir.
recognized.
Sharon.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. The better Garin. Okay. Okay. The USEC Sharon Garin is recognized.
Mr. I just wanted to clarify lang, ang records ng DOE on the approvals of the, yung mga magtatrabaho na foreigners, we have from 2018 to 2024, there are directors, senior technical advisor, but we don't have the record of the individual that you are looking for. But maybe if there's such a claim, because that's way back for us, baka pwedeng i-provide lang ng NGCP kung that's the claim, Mr. Chair, because we don't have it in DOE, Mr. Chair.
Much. Attorney Matibag.
Mr. Chair, gusto ko lang pong ilatag sa committee, the last hearing that we have in the Senate, chaired before by the chairman of Energy and Senate, Senator Win Gatchalian, Kasi pina-under oath kanina si President Almeda na hindi possible, na may attacks, gano'n. I think if we will review the transcript of that hearing, he admitted that
Mr. Chairman,
NGCP
point of order. Can a fellow resource person ask or
I'm not asking
comment on the question? Can he cross-examine a fellow?
No. He is not, Honorable Mikey, he is not, because I acknowledged him and for him to state his opinion. May I know what happened to that hearing?
Well,
I was
I'm just
about to ask
trying
that question.
give something kung ayaw niyong marinig ng...
Yes, go ahead,
I will not
please.
speak.
Please. Ano yun?
Nag-hearing kasi noon, chaired by... That was the last hearing that we had. That was...
Anong sinabi?
Sinabi niya na...
Point of order,
everyday-
Mr. Chairman. Ayun, Melvin.
Attorney Matibag, pwede ba tapusin na ho
Di ba po,
natin?
Mr. Chair, we are here to find the truth.
Yes, correct.
I'm
Go
here
ahead.
as a citizen also.
Okay. Proceed. Please proceed.
I'm not for China, I'm for Philippines.
Okay, go ahead.
Witch hunting here.
So what was said?
Don't want to witch hunt
So
here.
for
We are
the...
not with
One
something.
specific company.
I'm stating a fact. You reviewed the Senate
The facts are very clear. I tell you,
Order.
whatever is stated in the Senate is not here. It's what is stated here.
He
Yes.
was under oath when he made that statement.
Correct.
We are now in Congress, in the House of Representatives.
Okay,
Yes.
Mr. Chair, if you
Yes.
don't want to hear me,
Again,
I will keep quiet.
like I said, I'm asking you to continue. What was said? Quiet, please.
He stated that NGCP is suffering an attack every day.
Okay.
And
Mr. Chair,
From
may I be
where?
recognized?
From where?
Kung saan-saan. Maraming yung cyber attack.
Okay. So yun ang issue.
Yun yung sinasabi ko kasi based doon sa sinasabi under oath, wala, hindi pwede.
Okay.
Mr. Chair,
Okay,
may be
thank you very
recognized.
much. Attorney, Senyora po ha. I will acknowledge you. Relax ka lang. Okay? So I will, Attorney Matibag, are you done? Have you said your piece?
Okay na po
Let
kasi
it be
baka
said,
magalit po yung mga abogado.
Hindi. Okay, abogado ka rin naman eh. Okay, so pare-pareho kayo abogado. Yun ang mahirap pag maraming abogado.
Para sa iba pang karagdagang mga balita at impormasyon, ay huwag po nating kalimutan ang mag-like, share at comment sa video na ito, at huwag po rin nating kalimutang mag-subscribe sa aming channel, to continue supporting our contents. Maraming salamat po sa inyong panonood, at naway tangkilikin po ninyo ang aming YouTube channel.